My primary inspiration is nature, and sometimes it can be a literal translation of nature, like looking at a blackberry or looking at a pineapple or looking at the shape of a gourd and literally using those shapes as the main feature of my work. And other times it can be about the abstract sense, the power of nature, or the magic of the life force, and it's that which I try to capture. And often I can make fruits and seeds of your dreams and plants of your dreams, as well as literary things. When I set out to make the large set of pots, I had a vision of these giant pots that people would sort of walk around and in between and experience in 3 dimensions. But I didn't have a set view of what I was making. And that was really exciting. There were certain ones and I knew what I was going to do, and I actually did graph paper drawings and measured and calipered it. But actually as they grow and you're coiling on that scale where the coils are as weigh 15 kilos each coil and are as thick as your wrist, which is hypnotic. They sort of grow and take a life of their own. The way that I make, which is hand building and coiling rather slowly, is that I can set out with an idea, and during the making process the ideas can change. Sometimes I can cut the bottom away from a pot and turn it upside down and use the shape, looking at it from another view, or lie a shape down. And with some of the large pots that I made for this exhibition, I started out with one rather strong idea in my mind, and then halfway through they actually became very, very different pieces. And so when they were finished, it was as if I hadn't made them in a funny way, and I was sort of meeting them for the first time, and that was very, very exciting. Ceases to amaze me is the changes that happen with clay. You take it out of the bag and it's soft and malleable and wet, and there's no form, it's formless, and gradually you form it and then you fire it and it becomes hard. So there's this incredible change from malleability to complete stability of material. When I make, I think I rely and trust in a subconscious, and when I'm studying nature or thinking about nature, I don't make that many notes in a sketchbook, really. I think basically it's a sort of meditation on a curve, and when you're making or a form, when you're making, you trust that sort of wisdom and knowledge that you've concentrated on will come out. And that's the way I work. I don't really calculate many things. And so when you're open to change during the process, then you do form a relationship with it, almost like a person. So it's almost like you're forming a relationship with it. And then it becomes a sort of character or a reflection of those moments. The technique that I use, I make a piece, bisque fire it, so that then the clay then becomes ceramic, and then I glaze it, so it tends to have 2 stages of development, and the glazes really get a very separate stage. I'm very interested in the way glaze move over pots. A lot of potters don't, it's sort of an accident if glazes tend to start running. That's it, sort of can be seen as that. But I'm very interested in the way colours and glaze can pool and flow and define a form. And with my glazes that I'm particularly interested in is these crystalline glazes. And the crystals actually physically grow in the cooling cycle of the kiln. And it's actually an oversaturation of solution which grow the crystals. You never know how many crystals there are going to be. You never know the size of the crystals or the distribution. So again, it's this element of surprise and sort of trust to the process. And it's this running and pooling and relating to form that I'm very interested in. Adrian Sassoon has been showing my work for about 15 years, and probably for the last 10 years exclusively worldwide. And he's shown me in exhibitions around the world that I could only have dreamt of showing, and has really, I feel, has pulled out of me, if you like, a confidence or a need to produce more and more flamboyant work, more and more intense work, and more exciting work. And I really feel that the relationship with him as an art dealer, finances aside, has been a great pleasure, because it really has encouraged me to be a more productive artist and to work in the way that I do, which I really enjoy. And I think also he's also had that influence on other British makers of decorative art.